Open it up. You got the key. Love is the house. You got the key. Anyway.
Beautiful, blowing beautiful, beautiful, blowing beautiful, beautiful, blowing beautiful, beautiful, blowing beautiful.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Blessed Trust coming back to you with another video where here it is my hope that you go and take your peace as you give God the pieces. So, as you can see, today is a special treat because I have here with me you want me to say your name? Thomas! Yeah, this is my husband. So yeah, hey husband.
Hello, wife.
Hi, how are you?
You're looking good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So do you. I like your little bald head. Mwah. And so today, in today's video, as you can tell from the title, we are going to talk about steps to home ownership. We have been blessed that this new home build is actually our second home. We purchased our first home in 2018. And now here we are in 2022 building our next home. High five. Number one, it is important to be honest. It is important that you sit down and that you are honest with yourself and then also with your spouse. In this day and age, we live in a land filled with filters and perfect lighting and social media. And what that does is that it deceives us into thinking that things are what they truly are not. If you're going to be a homeowner, it is important that you are honest about your credit score, that you are honest about your affordability. You know, when Thomas and I first started out, our home, our first home that is, was a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And we were able to make that decision and even search for homes on that caliber because we had that honest conversation with one another. So it's important to do that. And I actually have a very funny story because I remember when we were at Lakeshore, we were in an apartment. We were in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, and they were about to renovate all of the units. And so with that renovation came a rent increase, and they were about to increase our rent to $1,200. And now at this time, it was just Thomas and I. And I was just like, babe, we're about to be paying $1,200 in rent. That sounds like a mortgage to me. And so I asked him, I just simply put out that request, like, babe, I'm ready to buy a home. And you know what his honest response was?
Very simple. We could either maintain where we were and attempt to stay where we were with things as they were, or we could make the tougher decision and downsize. They gave us the ability to save money and pay off some debt.
Yeah. And so what did we go with? Did we go with the easy or the tough?
We made the tough decision.
Yes, we did.
And we downsized everything. But it was worth it.
It was. It was. So, like we said, you got to have those honest conversations. You have to be honest about your situation.
Step number 2, you must trust God. All right? Listen, we understand that this process can be scary. It can be intimidating. You may not know much about it. However, if you do your part, then give God something to work with. Do your duty that is best. Leave unto the Lord the rest. You have the ability to make this happen if you trust in God. He did not put you in the position that you're in now or give you the vision to be a homeowner just to leave you out there.
Yeah. And the reason why we put this as number 2 is not to belittle God, or it's not to belittle your faith in God or your trust in God. It's just that after you're honest with yourself, most of us, I'm not going to say all of you because we do understand that, you know, not everyone is in the same situation, but a lot of us will feel very insignificant and small, and we would just feel like this is something that we can't do because we looked at how much we made, we looked at what we could afford and what our credit score was, and so now we're discouraged. So I don't want you to have that honest conversation with yourself or with your spouse and now get discouraged. What I want you to do now is apply faith pressure and trust God. Like Thomas said, do your best and then trust God to do the rest. You want to get informed. There's so much more to buying a house than just clicking on Zillow, choosing a house, and them saying this is your mortgage payment. A lot of times those aren't even the correct payment. They're assuming that you're going to put 20% down. So you have to get informed. What does my mortgage look like if I put 3% down or 5% down versus 10% down? There's programs out there, where you can get assistance with putting money down. Get informed about that. Get informed about what my HOA fees will be, what my property taxes will be. It is important to get informed. If you have children, you want to see what school district will I be in? Where will my children be attending school? Get informed. Okay, so the next step is to plan. So, I know you're wondering like, wow, we got to do all that before we make a plan? Yeah, you do. You have to make a plan. There is no way to make a plan without getting informed. So now that you have your information, now you can set out your plan. As Thomas earlier stated, we chose the rough road, the rough side of the mountain. That was our plan. Now that you have the information, now you know what your obstacles are. Now that you know what your obstacles are, you rightly identify those obstacles, now you can plan to attack them. If your plan is to get out of debt, if it's to increase your credit score, if it's to make more money, now you can plan those things because now you know what you're up against. Now you know what's required. So now you set out your plan.
Step 5, know your strengths and your limitations. That you have to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. The Bible tells us to write the vision and make it plain. That plain part of the vision is so that you don't complicate the process. So if I know that I'm good at one thing and I know that I'm not good at another thing, then I know where my help needs to be focused at. For example, I am a money saver. I can save money, I can minimalize, I have no problem with stripping things down to the basics. On the other hand, Martina's really good at knowing credit scores, keeping schedules, staying on top of credit reports. That was my weakness.
One of the most rewarding things that I learned about us, or that kind of was just reassuring about us, that kind of continues to show itself to be true in our marriage, is that we are better together and that we make a great team. And one thing I loved about Thomas is, I'm a natural optimist, and I just love to just trust God and just watch him do like the most in my life, pretty much. Just watch him do the impossible in my life. And Thomas, especially being the head of our home, is more of a realist. So I'm the optimist and he's the realist. And you would think that during this time that we would have bumped heads, but honestly it was just like a beautiful dance because he allowed me to play my part and I allowed him to play his part. I knew that when we had got into the thick of our home purchase, and this is not this home purchase but our first home purchase, when we were getting into the thick of things, that Thomas, naturally being the head of our home and the protector and the provider of our home, that he always has to have a plan B. And as long as he didn't allow me in my faith to thwart him having a plan B, then I wouldn't allow him having a plan B to thwart my faith. So we were both on one accord, but we were both playing our roles. Just to give you a little context here, what happened was, anyone to tell you that when your paperwork goes to underwriting, and our first home purchase was a resale, it was not a home build, and anything can happen in underwriting. You're initially approved for this, and then right before you're going to close, underwriting's like, well, by the way, I don't like you. And so pretty much here I am now. I'm now 6 months pregnant, and I'm 6 months pregnant we just already gave the notice to our apartment that, hey, we're moving, and this is the studio apartment that we had downsized to. We let them know, hey, we're moving in about 2 weeks, and and so they rented our apartment, and and so here underwriting is, I don't like you after all. You're gonna have to do this and this and this and this and this. And so it delayed our closing. And when you're in a market like today where sellers have the upper hand, they don't like delays. And so they kept threatening us with, hey, we're just gonna move on. We're gonna put the house back on the market. You guys don't seem to have your stuff together. And like I said, it was important to me to stand still and see the promise of God.
Because we had already moved out, had already put in all notices, and
We sold our furniture
sold
too.
sold everything.
We sold our furniture because this home, it was completely furnished.
Completely furnished. I mean, with everything. But that's why the Bible says faith without works is dead, being alone. We had to make sure that both sides of that, faith and works, was covered.
On faith.
She was faith and I was works,
Yeah.
and we walked hand in hand,
That's right.
and we got it done. So regardless of whatever God's will was, we knew that we would be covered and that God would bless whatever it is that we had already put forward as our works, and He would recognize our faith and just continue to bless us in whichever direction we went.
Yeah, so just wanted to give you a little context there, but yes, that goes back to this step, which is to trust your strengths, but to know your limits, and definitely play your role. Our next step is to get organized. So now you have a plan, you've been informed, so it's an informed plan, and you're making an informed decision, so now you have to get organized. When you start reaching out to lenders, they are going to require a lot of documents and forms. And a lot of people think that this is the hardest part of the home ownership, like qualification, pre-qualification process, but it really is pretty simple if you're organized. I need you to know where your W-2s are. And a lot of this should be electronic, okay? And so I want you to already have in your folder, on your computer, have a folder for your home ownership, okay? And I want you to have in it your last 2 W-2s. I want you to have in it your last 2 months of bank statements. I want you to have in it your last 2 months of pay stubs. And then I also want you to have the contact information for your HR so that they can validate your employment. It's important that you be organized so that when you're calling different lenders and you're reaching out, that when they ask you for this material, you can just get it right to them. So get organized. And another caveat to that is to get your finances organized. One thing that we did differently this go round than we did before was that I purposefully made a home ownership account, which means that all the money that goes into that account is the money that we're saving for our down payment. Last time, that money was in just our regular bank account, which was connected to another one. So whenever you made a withdrawal or a transfer, they also wanted to see that bank account. And I don't know about you, but I don't like folk in my business like that. And so I was intentional this time, and I said, you know what? I am going to have one account, or we're going to have one account for home ownership. And so therefore, they don't got to be all up in my business. So get your finances organized as well. Your next step to becoming a homeowner is to get a team. So now that you are organized, it is important to get a realtor. You can search for one by word of mouth. Sometimes when you sign up to see a house on Zillow or on realtor.com, they'll pair you with a realtor. So just make sure that you get you a realtor. A lot of times that realtor will work with preferred lenders, so you can use their lender, but I encourage you to shop around for lenders. You don't have to use their lender. You can search for another lender. You can just do a Google search, or by word of mouth. Maybe you have a friend that you can reach out to that might know someone that they use. And so you just want to make sure, I think what I put when it comes to lenders, what I put as a priority outside of interest rates and costs and fees, I want to make sure that I can reach this person. What's their customer service like? What's their follow-up like? Because when it's a seller's market, you want to make sure that you can get answers and that you can get answers quick. So get you a strong team.
And when you're looking for a realtor, make sure that you have a realtor that understands your request and understands your personality. They need to have the ability to know exactly what's important to you and what your need is. Because a lot of the houses on those websites, those houses are already sold. Those houses are priced different than what shows. And the realtor has a list of homes that are not shown on those sites. And what's important for you to realize is that, what's important for you to know is that your realtor is going to present every home to you that you would want to be interested in, or that you would want to buy, and that they're not just trying to sell a home to get paid, that they're actually working in your best interest.
And I think along with that, babe, it's important to know the season that you're in. Meaning that when we went through our first process with purchasing a home, we were very new with this, and it was very intimidating because, again, you've had this honest conversation with yourself, so you know exactly where you are financially, and and you're going before all these people, and you can feel so vulnerable because, again, they're asking about your financials, which is never an easy conversation to have. And so our first realtor, I loved her, and she played her role for that particular season in our life because we were new with this, and we needed someone that was going to be gentle, someone that was going to hold our hand through the process, be there to ask questions, and just fight for us, but also just kind of
just hold our hand and guide us through the process so that we wouldn't fall into any traps or have any delays simply because of our ignorance of buying a home at that time.
Yeah, I just really loved how soft she was. I think we needed someone softer for that season of our life because, like I said, that was a vulnerable time, and I was pregnant, so I could have easily got our feelings hurt if we would have had a realtor saying, "What? I ain't taking you there. You can't qualify for that. You can't afford that."
Right.
That's not how our realtor was then. But now we got a bulldog for a realtor.
Yeah.
But we understood that that's what we needed for this territory that we're in, this climate that we're in, meaning that we had a house that we needed to sell. So we needed someone that was going to fight for us and fight to get us the best price and the best sellers or the best buyers. And also then when it came on the flip side, time for us to buy a home in a seller's market, we needed someone that was also going to have that tenacity with being the in-between as we purchase this home or build this property. And so we needed that. And actually, we found this particular realtor because she was the one that gave us the hard time when we were trying to buy our first home.
Right.
She represented the sellers of our first home. And Claire, she gave us a hard time. She was like, "No, let's just move on. They ain't ready. This house too nice for them." Not too nice for us, but meaning like they're taking a long time to close. This house could have been unclosed by now.
Right.
But praise God for favor and in your face. I'm just playing, Tiffany. If you ever see this video, I'm just playing. Don't get on me. But she was a bulldog, but we didn't take it personally, and that's why we have her on our team now. We said, hey, if we ever sell a house, that's exactly who we want on our team. I never want to be on the opposite side of her again.
Yeah.
I always want
I said
to
immediately, I want her.
Yeah,
Get her
exactly.
Now. Step number 8, which for Tina was probably the hardest step, which is you can start looking, but don't fall in love with the house that you see. Understand this. You're always going to see houses that you want, that you like, and that you think is your house. But there's always obstacles. So if you become too attached to a house, one thing that you'll end up doing is you'll miss out on what else could be. And then also you'll start building yourself up. You've already planted the plants in the house, and you've seen the kids run around in the house in your mind. And then when it's ripped from under you, it'll really take the wind out of you, and it'll really hurt you in seeking for your home. It may even discourage you from moving forward.
I agree with that sentiment. It is important to, okay, first off, before I say it's important, it's going to be hard. Let's just keep it a buck, okay? It's going to be hard, especially with us. Again, we had downsized, so we lived in a studio apartment for about a year. And so every house looked amazing. Just to be honest with you, because every house was better than where we currently were. And so it is going to be hard not to dream, especially for my women out there. And so I totally agree with the sentiment, because now when I think back, and Thomas and I have done this on countless occasions, when we think back at the houses that we first saw that we just loved, and we were like, yes, make an offer, yes, make an offer, yes, make an offer. And then we look back and we see what we ended up with, and we're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that we were gonna take that house. And so because we have so much better. So I just want to encourage you. One thing that I love to always say is that it is never rejection, it is always God's protection. Just know that if your offer is not accepted, it's okay. I promise you, God has something better. We ended up with the best of the best of the best starter homes that, you know, and it doesn't have to be, it was a starter home for us because we knew we wanted to grow our family, but it could have definitely been someone else's forever home, but it was beautiful. So don't get discouraged if your offer is not accepted. Don't get discouraged if something surprising happens. As Tom said, I promise you there is better out there, and there is more. And I think something else that I wanted to say along those lines, Thomas has said, don't fall in love with the home. And I completely agree with that too. I know I made some faces, but I do agree with that. I think that you have to be more in love with the idea of being a homeowner. Don't get attached to a specific home. It's kind of just like, because then it really is limiting. It's kind of just like, for example, as a single, it's important not to just fall in love with a particular type of man, saying like, oh, he has to be chocolate and burly and bald and thick eyebrowed and chiseled cheekbones and beautiful smile. Like, you don't want to do that, because then if it comes in a different package, you can totally miss out. You just want to fall in love with the idea of being married, being a wife, having a husband. Okay, so I totally agree with what Thomas is saying. Don't fall in love with that home until it's, you know, signed on a dotted line, but just fall in love with the idea that you're about to be a home owner.
And number 9, be grateful, be humble, and pay it forward. Be grateful when you finally get that home and you finally walk in after all of it has been done. Don't forget to give God the glory for it. You know, that, you know, out of everything that has happened in the process, and you will experience some things in the process, just remember that it was God who was there with you the whole time.
That's right.
It's the reason why we said earlier to trust. And trusting isn't always easy. Just does not mean that you can see, does not mean you can hear, but it does mean that you believe, and that you know you will come out on top. And be humble when you get that home. Understand that you're in a much better position than a lot of people. You have a home that someone else possibly lost and could not keep. You know, you have a home that others don't step foot into unless they're coming to visit somebody with a home like that. So always remain humble and be thankful, and then pay it forward. If there's something that you learned in your process that is vital, if you know something about the market that others may not know, or there's information that others may not have known about, then tell somebody about it. Let it be known, you know, because you don't want to just be the only person that's blessed. You want to be able to bless others. And not only should we just rejoice with those that rejoice, but we should also do what we can to bring people to a place where they can receive, where they can be the primary rejoicers.
That's right.
And so, always pay it forward.
I think along that line of being grateful and being humble, just know that there's no perfect home. Even this home that we're building is not a perfect home. There are a lot of things that we compromise with. This home that we're building is not even our dream home. This is just another level. We are done with this video, so we're just gonna wrap things up. But before we do, we just wanna play it back, or is it roll it back? Okay, anyways, we're just gonna play it back.
One of those.
Yeah, it's one of those. We're just gonna roll it back and just recite all 9, just in case you missed them. Grab your pen and paper. Number 1 is to be honest.
Number 2 is to trust God.
Number 3 is to get informed.
Number 4 is to plan.
Number 5 is to trust your strength, but know your limits.
Number 6, get organized.
Number 7 is to get a team.
Number 8 is to start looking, but don't fall in love.
And number 9 is to be grateful, be humble, and pay it forward. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been such a fun video. Let's thank Tom below for joining us, and just let me know, should we have him back? Tell me down below. Give me a 1 for yes and a 2 for no, okay? But yeah, let me know below too, which point hit home the most for you, and what else should they tell us down below?
If there's something that we forgot or left out, just let us know. Maybe we'll even come back and do a video about it.
Yeah, but let's get the discussion started below, and please hit that like button. It helps to get this video out to the masses, you guys. We need to become home owners. We want to get this information out there. So the more you like this video, the more I can get back into YouTube's good graces and get on their algorithm, so more people can start viewing this content. Any last words?
Go buy your home.
That's right. You got the keys now. You got the key. Open it up. You got the key. Love is a house. You got the key. Anyway, but thank you so much for tuning in. And like I always say, go get your peace and give God the pieces.
You see